this gets into kind of, well, what happened to the Mayans? The Mayans were still around when the Europeans came. We can call that lie number 43. You can go on into the next part and say, oh, well, the Aztecs thought that we were gods. Well, first of all, we didn't call ourselves Aztecs, those of us who were of the Mexica. When you read into the actual eyewitness descriptions of Bernal Díaz del Castillo, he describes a situation where he's been told by people in other cities, watch out for the Mexica. They're the big group of people. They dominate this whole area, or this is the Mexica Empire, if you want to use that kind of terminology. And they finally meet a Mexica high-ranking, and he comes into the city and bypasses them, ignoring white people, not giving them their proper place, and heads right to the person who was in charge of the city. And as he's passing by the Spaniards, the one who was in charge gets flowers, and he puts them to his nose, and he's walking straight ahead. And he said, well, these are like really kind of sissified warriors, you know, with all this regalia and with flowers and all this. And this is Bernal Díaz giving this description. What he's not aware of, the full context of it, yeah, we did have an obsession with flowers. That was part of our culture. It wasn't looked at the same way that we look at flowers today. It's a whole other, you can do a whole thing about how we looked at flowers as a separate lecture. But what he didn't get was, and maybe what you don't know, that in 1519, Europeans did not bathe at all their whole lifetime. Well, that's historically accurate. And our people did bathe on a daily basis, at least in this area. So for those of you who've maybe encountered maybe somebody homeless who hasn't bathed in weeks or months, sometimes you can smell them a block away. So what was happening with this guy, it was more just not to faint from the smell of the Europeans. But again, it gets into Bernal Díaz. He's writing this. He doesn't get the joke. Okay. And then the other thing that happens in another description is, oh, they brought us all of these gifts because they thought we were gods. What in our culture, we had our warrior priests, and like I told you, we would bathe on a daily basis with equivalent to a steam bath or something, a sauna, whatever you want to compare it to, and as a way of doing penance, as a way of kind of doing some sacrifice, you would actually stop bathing. And of course, what happens after you stop bathing for a long time, you acquire this smell. In our culture, the thing, if you were to smell somebody coming, right off the bat, you're going to say, oh, wow, a holy person is coming. So it's kind of, I'm reorienting you in how you look at things. A holy person is coming this way. And instead of repulsion, you become, you know, I guess people do that with movie stars or whatever, you know. You get this admiration for somebody. And so you go back to the context of that one representative of Mexica. He already knew that these were not holy men. They had proven themselves to be not holy men. But again, from the initial contact, one, they dressed very differently. But then the Maya dressed very differently from what the Mexica dressed. And of course, the Inca dressed very differently. And they looked physically different. They were We didn't refer to them as white. That's more like something whites basically describe themselves as white. More like lacking color or pale. That's more the equivalent. So you have the situation where these initial encounters, it was different. It was more of a clash of cultures. The last thing our people expected, that they were about to be robbed, raped, enslaved. We actually thought we were encountering another civilization, civilized people. Civilized people do certain things. And the gifts were actually gifts of welcome, gifts in the same way that our people in the Caribbean gave gifts of welcome. And you got the expression, mi casa es tu casa. That's not so much my house is your house. It's not a Spaniard saying. That's more ours. Because it literally was. Nobody owned property. Even your own house, you didn't own your property. That's not your house. That's the house you live in. And that's why it was literally, my house is your house. But again, we all had responsibilities, and we all had assigned lands on which you worked. But it wasn't about owning property, but it wasn't that we didn't believe in owning property. We owned it collectively. Nobody had a deed. Well, that's my land right there. What you might have is, okay, you're assigned that area over there, and you take care of that. That's different. Or saying, oh, well, that guy lives in a palace. Look at that big old palace. Well, Obama must be pretty rich. He's got that really big house out there, painted all white, and he's got these people working for him. And, man, that guy must be a gajillionaire, owning such a big house like that. Well, we know that's not his house. It's everybody's house. Those of us who pay taxes and willingly or unwillingly. And so this is kind of the initial thing where there are misinterpretations, mistranslations of things. And of course the claim is also that these are Christians coming here. Now, if we had landed in Europe, would the Christians want us to do to them what they did to us? To break and enter, to enslave and rape, to take all the wealth of their lands and leave them with no land, and leave them foreigners on their own land. If that is true, then there were Christians that came to our land. But there weren't no Christians that ever came to our land. Because it was the popes, and it was the Protestants also, so the Protestants sometimes try to weasel their way out of it. They did as much killing as the Catholics. So again, if we had encountered genuinely civilized people, genuinely Christian people, what would they have done? Columbus would have said, these people are wonderful and beautiful. We should stay here and figure out how they do this. And we got to figure out, once they found out about the smallpox, and say, you know what? We're killing these poor people. We got to just stay away from here. Or definitely make sure that we're not bringing anybody with smallpox with us, as opposed to make sure you bring somebody with smallpox with you. So that would have been really Christian, really civilized. And when they encountered our cities, it should have been a simple trade, kind of what Japan did. Japan, obviously, became a little bit more aware. The Europeans had gotten a reputation by the time it came to Japan. So you have a situation where we expect civilized people, we expect ethical, moral behavior. And boy, did we get a surprise. Because it became a constant surprise to us what was done to us. More and more uncivilized acts. The first major act like this, there were a whole bunch of them before that, but the first major one was in Cholula, where the Spaniards asked that the top leaders of the city gather in this particular square. They demanded that all the university professors, the military leaders, the whole top rank of their society be there. And you can probably guess what happened. They massacred them. That was between 6 The numbers vary between 6,000 and 8,000 unarmed. And that became a pattern. It was done in Tenochtitlan. It was done in Cajamarca. There's a video on PBS on Guns, Germs, and Steel, which is a Pulitzer Prize winning book. It's also one of the most white supremacist books that you can find out there. Once you read a little bit more of history, you find out how white supremacist that book is. But this guy, Jared Diamond, in the film for PBS, he describes the situation in Cajamarca, which was a holy city, in which the Inca, when they entered the city, went in unarmed. They encountered a Spanish group, and they were welcomed into the city. In all cases, that was basically, until we found out, eventually, it was, you ain't welcome here. So they were welcomed into the city, and there were demands put on the Inca that they should become Christian. Of course, very Christian behavior all along. And the ruler looked at the Bible that was given to him, and he looked at it and said, "What is this?" And he gave it back to the Spaniards, and they looked at that as an insult, but this was more of a pretext. And there you had about 7,000, again, of the leadership of the Inca massacred. And it continued with De Soto. It continued with everywhere. This was basically it. You gather the top leadership, and you massacre them. So smallpox, kidnapping, executions, massacres, the secret of European success in the Western Hemisphere and other continents.